Start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Glory be to the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, Immaculate Heart of Mary, Saint Joseph, Saint Pius X, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. So, my dear friends, I'm very happy that I can speak here. I think the second or the third time in my life. I can't really remember, the second at least. The first time I was here in 1999, when Father Dubruck introduced me in the beautiful island of the saints. And now I am invited again by Father Abbe in order to give you a little update about the Militia Immacolata, as you know, which has been founded by Saint Maximilian Kolbe in 1917 on the 17th of October, 4 days after the great miracle of the sun in Fatima, and has been after its, in fact, you can say, destruction after the Second World War, renewed, refreshed, re-established in its traditional form as Maximilian Kolbe has founded by myself in the year 2000 on the 6th of May, and so happens to exist the Militia Immacolata of the traditional observance, which is the Knighthood of Our Lady, as founded by Maximilian Kolbe, without any alteration, without any changes. Remember St. Maximilian Kolbe, he founded that Army of Our Lady in a very, very terrible moment of the history of the world. 1917, we are in the middle of the First World War. It is the October Revolution in Moscow, which brings the half of the world afterwards into the hands of the atheist communists. It is also the second anniversary of the celebration of the foundation of the Freemasonry. And this has been celebrated nowhere else but in Rome. And it happened that these people in Rome, in order to celebrate their anniversary, they would now explain to the world that we established the new world order. And this new world order, it will happen in the world everywhere, and even the church will be submit to that. And this new world order is very clearly marked in this celebration of the second 200th anniversary as a diabolic, a satanic new order. So these people will not have any problem to explain that the devil will govern in the Vatican and the Pope will be its servant. They will make processions, they will make songs, they will try to do 1,000 things in order to imitate what's happening. Thank you. I'm just thinking, I'm attending in a match, yo. So this second 100th anniversary, it is very clearly marked as an anti-Christian event. So the Freemasons would occupy the place in Rome in order to imitate the Catholic ceremonies. They make processions, they bring up banners, they bring out beautiful signs and symbols, songs, in order to just inverse the thing. The devil will smash St. Michael the Archangel. The devil will govern the world. This is a very terrible announcement. And in those times, the Freemasons would say, in other, let me say, their scripts and announcements that give us 100 years, and we will dominate the whole world, including the church. And it happened that at that moment, at the very moment, Maximilian Kolbe, the young Polish friar, was studying in Rome. He was just making his first doctorate in philosophy, and he would be preparing for himself for ordination. And Maximilian Kolbe was witness of this terrible event. He describes himself. He himself is a child of Catholic Poland. He himself is proud of bringing to his friends that deep, deep devotion Polish people have to Our Lady. Look, this young man is a very simple boy. He is just the son of a laborer family who has worked very hard in the surrounding of Łódź. He has been born in Pabianice, very close to Łódź, where he has grown up as a son of very poor people. But from the very beginning of his life, Our Lady had an important and the most important role in all what he was doing and what he was receiving. First of all, his parents, Julius Kolbe, Mariana Kolbe, very devout Catholics, and they would inspire her three sons this great devotion of Our Lady, which you have very special in Poland. The devotion of Our Lady in Poland focuses on one very important title. She is called, since ever, the Hetmanka. We would translate it as the commander-in-chief of the Christian armies. She has won all the battles. If you see the beautiful history of Poland, you see the beautiful history of Our Lady. It is a country which started with Our Lady. Our Lady converted, we can say, the first king of Poland, Mieszko. Afterwards, all the great work of conversion was always an intervention of Our Lady. But this country has a very special history, because this was one of the countries which had been attacked by enemies the most in the whole world. In the history of the world, we'll hardly find a country which has been attacked by enemies so much, so many times, and so terribly, and by so many places. We could say the whole history of Poland is one terrible fight. Whether they come from the east, not only once. They were the pagans, they were the Orthodox, the schismatic Orthodox, they were afterwards the communists at the end. They came from the north, the Swedes, the Protestants, they came from the south, they came from all parts, and everywhere this attack was terribly shaking the country into pieces, which was not organized as other countries, in order to be a strong country, a strong army, a strong union. Poland was, as Polish people here can explain you much better than me, was, let me say, ruled by the hetman, by these people who had their little place where they are absolute kings. And there together they were electing their king. And so Poland politically was always weak. But spiritually is what was the strongest countries in the whole world. How this happens? The people who, from the very beginning, when they became Catholic, they understood that they have a power which doesn't exist in this way in the world, and this is Our Lady. So they will already establish Our Lady, Queen of Poland, Queen of the Crown of Poland, from the very beginning on. Poland's Our Lady of Częstochowa, called the heart of Poland, becomes the center of the whole spiritual life. The people would make the pilgrimages there and feed themselves spiritually from her who will govern their country. And that is what Our Lady will do. And there will be no battle, wherever will become during the history, and there are thousands to fight. And always this country won when they acclaimed and proclaimed that Our Lady is the Queen, and Our Lady will light the battle. You have even outstanding victories outside Poland, when the king Jan Sobieski was who himself sent by Our Lady to save Catholic Europe in 1683 in Vienna. It's thanks to this king and with his Polish army that Europe was saved by the Muslims. And so I have not to call now the history of Poland. I just wanted to explain to you that little Maximilian Kolbe was living that. For each Catholic Polish man is, I live with Our Lady, and Our Lady is my strength. And as Poland was weak and sometimes even disappeared from the map as existed. Poland was living because of the devotion of Our Lady, of the love of Our Lady, and of the trust in Our Lady. And whenever the people went and asked Our Lady for help, she always helped them. And so, up to the latter times, up to the 20th century, we can observe that one of the last countries in the world, of course it's degenerating from day to day, but the Catholic life in Poland, in comparison to other countries, former Catholic countries in the world, is 10 times, 50 times yet more than as it is, for instance, in Germany, in France, in the United States, or wherever in the world. Until now. Until now, you have millions of Polish people who yet say the rosary. Of course, they have bad pastors, they have bad leaders, spiritual leaders, and therefore everything goes astray. But in the heart of these people, there is such an incredible love of Our Lady, and that makes also the little miracle of the renewal of the Militia Immaculata in the Catholic tradition, and the outstanding growth of Catholic tradition the last years in Poland. Look, when to me, the last years to us, there were 13 priests. 13 priests had joined the SSPX the last 2 years from Poland. They come from Franciscans, there is a Dominican priest, there are parish priests, and they come one after the other. And if you ask them, who brought them to us? Who gave them the strength to overcome all the fear and the threats and the threatening of their superiors? Who made them strong enough to say, no, I will not contribute to destruction of the church, of my country, and the damnation of the souls, giving them the communion in the hands and teaching them all these stupidities with Pachamama and all this other ecological stuff we hear all the time now from the highest pulpits of the highest people in the church. And so these priests, they will just come to me and I will ask them, each one, what brings you here? And they tell me her history. And you know what they tell me all the time? It's Our Lady. When I didn't know what to do anymore, I took the rosary and asked her, Mother Mary, help me now, rescue me now. The same thing we see, these good Polish people, all over the times, as Maximilian Kolbe, you see that the very important, that's this faith. If I cannot overcome, for instance, my personal sins, if I cannot overcome my personal difficulties, then I must go to Our Lady. So we see the people making pilgrimages by feet. They walk along with a great intention. Mother Mary, help me to overcome this sin. Help me to resolve the problem of my family. And whenever the people would do that, you can be sure that Our Lady helps them. This kept this country morally and spiritually on a much higher level than most of the other countries in the world, even former Catholic, also former strong Catholic countries like, for instance, Italy, Spain, Portugal, or even Ireland. So, my friends, Maximilian Kolbe is a young boy. He comes to them and he brings to his people this faith, this trust. We are nothing. But we have a strong, strong ally, and that's Our Lady. When he sees now these almighty powers of the Freemasons who are showing up in Rome, and the Pope and the priests and the people has to hide in the houses because they go not on the public places because they would be beaten, insulted, Maximilian Kolbe just says to his friars, he is just a young man. He has just 21, 22 years. Say, how can it be that we are sitting and weeping and we allow these terrible enemies of God and the church to yell about the worst blasphemies and we do not do anything? And they start to laugh on this little Maximilian and say, you get crazy. What do you want to do against these armies? And he says, just very, very kindly, and she's very, very simply and naively, but I have a stronger ally. I have her who will crush Satan's head herself, who has vanquished all the heresies all over the world herself. And for her to finish with these enemies of the church is just a thought, just an order. And that's what we have to do. We go to her in our distress, and she must help us. We must become her instruments. We must become her soldiers. If the devil has so many soldiers, can I allow my mother and my lady, my queen to be alone? No, we have to come to her and to answer her requests. That was Maximilian Kolbe says to his confraters. Now, what is the request of Our Lady? Well, the request of Our Lady, Maximilian Kolbe, in the meanwhile, by his studies and by his first personal experience, has learned. A first request of Our Lady he has discovered when when in Rome they celebrated the anniversary of an outstanding conversion of a Jew who had hated the church and he wanted to destroy the church, and this Jew was converted. And she is converted by Our Lady and converted in Rome in the church San Andrea della Frate. When this Jew from Alsatia, Alphonse Ratisbonne, entered this little church and would just look around and see suddenly Our Lady before him, Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal. And Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal opened his eyes. Without saying anything, he understood everything, that his whole life, his Jewish religion and his atheism and his fight against the church and his immoral life is just the highway directly to hell. He understood that at once. 11 days after this vision of Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal, he was converted by the apostolic nuns of France in Rome. And he would become afterwards a priest and a founder of Our Lady of Science order. This is an order, a religious order, to pray and offer himself for the conversion of Jews. So what Our Lady did this day is just outstanding. The Miraculous Medal had made these miracles. A Miraculous Medal who has made so many miracles. And what Our Lady said in Paris, in the Rue de Bac, in 1830, when she gave to Saint Catherine Labouré the Miraculous Medal. And this is what Maximilian Kolbe studies very well. She says, print this Miraculous Medal, wear it yourself, distribute it. This is a symbol of my presence. Our Lady explains that she is the mediatrix of all graces. She has received from her Son all graces when she stood beneath the cross, all graces, all lights, all graces of conversion of all the sinners and all those who are in a false religion, and graces of sanctification. And so when Our Lady, you see in Paris and the Rue de Bac, the Miraculous Medal, she opens her hands. From her hands are coming rays of light into the world. This is the graces Our Lady passes through her Immaculate Heart, through her hands, into the souls. And how she does this? Asking us to take now the symbol, the visible symbol, the Miraculous Medal, to take this Miraculous Medal, to wear it, which means that here, this Queen, she dominates my life. She is the center of my life. I wear this Miraculous Medal. Here is my protection. Here is my strength. Here is the source of light. Here is all what I need. That is what Our Lady is always, let me say, promises to do whenever somebody goes and gives himself up to her. She protects us. Already 300 years before, Saint Grignon de Montfort, famous French Marian priest, saint, he explained us the perfect devotion to Our Lady. Maximilian Kolbe has learned that, and for him that is life. He said, what we must understand, that we alone, we cannot do anything. We need Our Lady, because God wants us. God gave us Our Lady as a mother, but not only as a title which doesn't mean anything. Our Lady is our mother in the full extent of this word. A mother feeds the child. A mother protects the child. A mother teaches the child. A mother brings the child on the right way and keeps the child from all dangers. That is the way and the office of the best of mother, who loved us so much, and loved us so much as we cannot even imagine. That is the love of Mary towards each one of us. Because when Jesus Christ ordered her that you and me would become her child, and she becomes my mother, Our Lady suffered about that, because this exchange is horrible. Because in some way, instead of her holiest son, she must take as a child such a wretch like me. And now, my friends, she accepts this. And at this moment, she will really love me as she loved her son, because Our Lady has not two different loves. How Our Lady loved her son, and so she loves me, poor wretch, terrible to think about that. I am excited to hear that, but I am so ashamed that I didn't even understand how much Our Lady wants to help me. This is the great word, Our Lady of perpetual help, you know. Our Lady wants to help us perpetually, day and night, because she loves us so much. Our Lady of good counsel, she always wants to enlighten our mind. It gives us the right thing to do. And this is the way we have to understand. Now Maximilian Kolbe, he learns all these truths of faith. He takes the miraculous medal in his hands. This is a symbol. This is a sign that I belong to my mother. And from this moment on, she will protect me. I will hide myself under her mantle, or even better, in her Immaculate Heart. And then she will protect me. But Our Lady does not say only in the Rue de Bac to wear the miraculous mantle, but to distribute. And here is another point. This distributing the mantle means that Our Lady wants to come into the souls of others, of those of such who had been Alphonse Ratisbonne, a Jew who had not believed anything, but he had accepted that he would wear the miraculous medal because his friend, le Baron de Bussière, who would show him Rome, he asked for a reward only to wear this little thing, and he accepted. So, my friends, this is sufficient for Our Lady to work on our good Alphonse Ratisbonne, and happened to convert him. And that happens billions of times in the histories. Maximilian Kolbe, he says, now the weapons of the enemies are the weapons to kill. The weapons Our Lady gives are the weapons to save. And now he comes to his brethren and says, look, what we have to do is to obey Our Lady. She says, wear the miraculous medal, offer yourself to me, and become my instrument. Become my instrument and help me to save souls. How? Distribute the miraculous medals, as she says that. But it happens on this miraculous medal as something written. Not only the beautiful picture of Our Lady, but especially the prayer. And you know it. O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee. And for those who have not recourse to thee, and Maximilian Kolbe says, and especially for the Freemasons, and those who are recommended to thy care. So, my dear friends, it is absolutely important to understand what Maximilian Kolbe tells us is just what he received from Our Lady. Now, another very, very important event in his life is the discovering of the Immaculata of Lourdes. From this moment on, Our Lady is called by him the Immaculata, Niepokalana. The Immaculata who always, everywhere, Immaculata, because she said in Lourdes, I am the Immaculate Conception. Maximilian Kolbe is aware about the miracles of Lourdes, and he himself had received a miracle. Once his thumb was about to get in the gangrene and should be cut off. And then it was the water of Lourdes which saved the thumb of Maximilian Kolbe when he was student. And so he knows that Our Lady is really powerful. If we only trust her, she's able to do incredible things, as she showed in Lourdes and all the other great places of the world. Now I could show you the whole history of Maximilian Kolbe. Again, there are many things to say. Let me just say something what Maximilian Kolbe didn't happen to know, what in the same time of founding the Militia Immaculata happened in another part of the world, in Portugal, when at the same time Our Lady appeared in Fatima and gave us her Immaculate Heart to follow. And there the message is exactly the same. Our Lady wants us to understand that her Immaculate Heart is our last refuge. And if we do not have this refuge, we will not stand in the latter times. Now, God gives to the world the last means of salvation, says Our Lady. And this will be the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary and the devotion of her Immaculate Heart. Who embraces this devotion will be saved. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge, your shelter, your sure place, and the way which leads you to heaven. In the midst of the worst of the enemies, of the worst of all wars. Because Maximilian Kolbe, he says, he understands, because the Freemasons say themselves. Our Lady says the same thing. We are coming into the latter times. Look, the half of the world is dominated by communists. The other half of the world is dominated by Freemasons. All this is one big gang, one big bandit gang of armies of Our Lady, of the apocalyptic beast. And this is what we have to understand. And so the whole world, the life in the world, will become anti-Christian, liberal, that the people in the world would not find anymore the truth. They would not live anymore in a true surrounding. They will live in an artificial, wrong, and let me say, and deceiving atmosphere, which makes them believe that this world is existing and sufficient. There is no heaven, there is no hell, and if there is a heaven and a hell, it's just the thought of each one what he wants to believe. Each one wants to believe what he wants. The only thing which is count is pleasure, is money, and live well in the world. This is this materialism. And that is promoted by 1,000 different ways, but it's always the same. Out Jesus Christ, King of Kings. Out Our Lady, Queen of all things. Out the thought that we are short time in earth and we have to save our souls and go to heaven. And that we have not much time. All this has been disappeared. It remained long times yet in one place, in the church. Until the day came after Maximilian Kolbe, 1962, when the Second Vatican Council was bringing in all these new world order, all these Freemasonic stories within the church inside. This is the Vatican II reforms. And so we are in a beginning of the 21st century where nobody is living according to the faith. Nobody, you will not find any structure anymore, any place, any atmosphere where you can quietly, save your soul, prepare yourself for heaven. Everything, everybody, all places, all mass media, all means you have invite you to commit mortal sin, or at least forget about God, forget about truth, forget about heaven and hell. Only think about your well-being, of your short life on earth, about your clothes, about your money, about all these things you know. And this is the great danger. And now you see Maximilian Kolbe, Our Lady of Fatima, have seen that. It started strongly in 1917. And now we have more than 100 years afterwards, and we see that the promises of the Freemasons and the promises of the communists have been realized absolutely, totally. And where we are now, Maximilian Kolbe said, Our Lady in Fatima said, now we have one last chance. That is Our Lady. Our last chance is the apocalyptic woman. She's alone, and she alone vanquished the heresies. She alone smashed Satan's head. And we are going to her, we are saved. If we are missing her, we are damned. We are failing. And that is not only within the church, not only any structures, but it is the personal life of each one of us. Therefore, my friends, it's so absolutely important that if we want to understand what we have received here in this place, we must go to her. Look, there is a little island somewhere. There is a little light in the terrible darkness that some people, some last Mohicans of people who have already lost their friends. Everybody went out. We are just the last group of remnants of people a little bit from the moon, where everybody sees such crazy people who just go to church, believe, and we have received the outstanding grace to receive the Catholic truth, the Mass of all times, the teaching of the Church of all times, the truth Our Lady, Lord gave us through all the saints and through 260 popes. This, what almost nobody can find anymore in this world, we have been privileged to receive, thanks to our good Archbishop Lefebvre and the SSPX especially. And now, look, but we do not realize what treasures we have in our hands. And now we are also attacked terribly, because we are the last of those who will not accept this, let me say, this dictator of the devil, this dictator of liberalism. However, we are too weak. And in these latter times, when the Catholics will be almost alone, already St. Grignon de Montfort depicts these little last people who will not bow before the devil, who will not bow before the new Baal, and will start they will be faithful to our Lord. It's those exactly when there was a Holy Friday. Everybody lost, everybody's gone. All the crowds who had sang Hosanna 4 days ago, they have gone. The apostles have gone. All the disciples have gone. Jesus Christ hangs on the cross, and a little group, a remnant of people, shares around whom? Around Our Lady, who keeps their faith, who keeps them that they stand and will not run away. Now we have the Holy Friday of the church. Same thing. The church, Jesus Christ is as new crucified, and everybody runs away. Nobody will keep faithful of the Lord Jesus Christ. They will not believe anymore that He's the only King, the only way, the only life, and the only happiness. And we have to stick with Him, besides the little flock, the remnant of those who share faithful under His cross, Mass of all times, around her. That's the role of Our Lady in our times. So that's what Maximilian Kolbe and Our Lady of Fatima explained us more than 100 years ago, is now so much accurate, so much necessary, that we can say we are now in these times. If we renounce to stick very strongly to Our Lady, we are really lost. No chance anymore to save our souls and do anything good. That is the moment we are living, my friends. And now, what says Maximilian Kolbe? What says Our Lady? Our Lady wants us to help us, that we live a very good Christian life. And this Christian life we live, if a little child gives his hand to Our Lady, lead me, my mother in heaven, lead me to heaven. Teach me, mother, teach me your son, teach me the teaching of your son. Teach me how to behave before your son. I want to learn from you how to love him. And she says, Mother Mary, I love you, my child, and I give you all what I can give you, and especially the most treasure I have, the immense love of my heart towards my son and towards God. Is it not that what we need to do? If you want to go to heaven, right, Fenit? So if you want to go to heaven, my friends, it is clearly one thing. If you're going to heaven, you must love God with all your heart, with all your strength. That's the commandment. Now, look, Our Lady comes this year. You will never be able to love God. If you love something, if a young boy is falling in love in his beloved girl, he sees the eyes of the boys. Do you love me? Oh, yeah. How many times they thought about me the last week? Maybe 1 minute. You know what the girl will say? Puff! Go away and let me in peace. What's that, the love? If you never think about the beloved, if you think sometimes you will start to talk with him and you will be with a big So lazy we are, so introvert. Look what our prayers, My Jesus, I love you with all my heart, with all my strength, with all my strength, in the name of the Father, Son, and and now a film. The film will be much more interesting, Prefer absolutely God before all. The beautiful film this evening, a premiere of a beauty Hollywood film. You wait for that since months. And here every evening at 8 o'clock, the rosary. At 8 o'clock, the film. Of course you will say the rosary and not look the film. Oh, well, rosary afterwards, the film now. This is the problem. So what I want to say is we are not very strong with our love to God. And Our Lady comes and she takes us in her hands and she motivates us. If we go to her, she accomplished this miracle of changing us completely. And this is the great mystery I would like to explain. I have not the time, which has been given to us by Our Lady through her servant, whose name is Saint Louis Maria Grino de Montfort, with a total consecration to Our Lady. This is all this total consecration This holy slavery is in order to put ourselves to become really, really Christians, to love God. And Our Lady teaches us to love God. If we give ourselves entirely to her, body and soul, our time and everything. This is the total consecration of Grignon de Montfort, with a wonderful act of consecration to be prepared thoroughly with a 33 days retreat and so on. But Our Lady says, in order to go to heaven, it's not only sufficient to pray and to love God, but Our Lady says you have also to love the neighbor. And that is what she teaches in Fatima. That is what teaches Maximilian Kolbe. First of all, we must be very fond of the greatest glory of God. We must fight for the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ. We must really want that He reigns, that the truth is coming back into the world. For this we live, for this kingship of our Lord Jesus Christ. Social kingship of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the kings, Lord of the lords. That is what we want. But that is, that's beautiful to say. But how to do that? The kingship of our Lord Jesus Christ must be in the world. So we have this great task. We have received this task, by the way, by a special sacrament, the sacrament of confirmation. And the sacrament of confirmation gave us the task and the grace to become soldiers of Jesus Christ, witnesses of the truth before the men, in order to bring them back to God. To extend the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ is to bring the people back from the enemy to Jesus Christ, from the darkness to light, from the sin to grace. That's what we have to do. But how? And Our Lady says in Fatima, pray and do sacrifices. So many people go to hell, she says, because there is nobody who would pray and make sacrifices for them. So Our Lady says very clearly that the damnation of souls going to hell is mainly not because they don't want to live with God, because most of them don't even know it. They have never had the chance to know Him and know the way of God. But there is nobody to pray for them, because Our Lady wants to save her poor children on earth, lost in the nature, lost in error, lost in sin. Especially in our times when nobody will believe anymore. Nobody will follow Jesus Christ anymore. And Our Lady has all graces in her heart for the conversion of all people. Why, Our Lady, we can ask, why do you make another miracle of the sun in order to convert the masses? Why don't you speak? Have you forgotten us? Do you not love us anymore? The whole world goes astray, and me too. I'm so weak. I'm falling down all the time. The devil is stronger than me. What shall I do? And Our Lady says, pray and do sacrifices. You must believe that all these graces for your own conversion and sanctification, for the conversion of the sanctification of your own family, of your kids, of your parish, of your friends, all these graces Our Lady has in her heart. And she wants to give them. She wants to convert Putin and all this stuff for people. She wants so much. But what's lacking? What is lacking? From Our Lady's side, she just wants. She had everybody ready. Her heart is so full of immense graces. Now, what is lacking? The problem is that, what Our Lady says, why, once more, she asked simple people to distribute the miraculous medal? Why Our Lady asked in Fatima to pray and to make sacrifices for the poor sinners? If not, they go to hell. Why Maximilian Kolbe founds the MI and say, Our Lady needs you. She's the queen of heaven and earth, but however she needs you. Because if you don't want to help her, if you don't want to enter her army, she will not give the graces. That's the great mystery, and makes our life so incredibly important and fascinating. That is, that the salvation of so many souls depends on the generosity, on the prayers, on the sacrifices of us. You know who says these words? St. Pius X in his encyclical Mystici Corporis about the Church. My friends, this is the teaching of the Church. It depends on you. How? How can you help Our Lady? Poor sinner as we are. And that's it. Our Lady says that was the will of God. God wants you to share in His fight and His victory. The call of Christ the King you hear in the Ignatian retreat is that Jesus Christ saying, my will is to conquer the world and to save the souls. But for that, I need helpers. I need soldiers. I need instruments. And that is the key word of the MI. The Night of the Immaculata is nobody, but who has understood that Our Lady needs a helper. That's the will of God. Look, Jesus Christ does the same thing. When Jesus Christ comes to save us, then he goes back to heaven and leaves the whole work of salvation to his instruments, to these black birds you have here. You know, the priests. Without the priests, nothing happens. The priests are poor, wretches and sinners. Nothings. But without them, no Mass, no sacraments, no salvation. So Jesus Christ makes dependence his whole work of salvation on these poor black birds. Yeah? And Our Lady, who is mediatrix of our grace, also she can work with all her immense graces if she finds people. People who understand, yes, I can do enormous things if I fulfill the wish of Our Lady. And now Maximilian Kolbe defines the Night of the Immaculata as this instrument. Our Lady uses you like a channel. Our Lady uses you like a tube. And this tube and this channel is to bring the graces which are in her heart, like in a source, into the fields, into the desert of the souls. Here are the souls, far from God, a pagan, a Muslim, unbeliever, a fallen Catholic, apostate, a heretic. All these people are in a spiritual desert, and there is everywhere a desert. There is only one incredible source of graces, infinite waters of life, and it's the heart of Our Lady. And you come now, and with your prayer, you come to approach her. O Mary, conceived without sin. O Immaculate Heart of Mary. Jesus, Mary, I love you. And then you go to her. And now you turn to one sinner. Maybe your own child. Maybe your neighbor. Maybe somebody in your acquaintance or somebody you do not know. Save these sinners. Jesus, Mary, I love you. Save this man. Jesus, Mary, I love you. Save us. Save the poor sinners. Oh Mary, I ask you the conversion of the poor sinners, says little Jacinta and Francis of Fatima. And when you do that, Our Lady will be able to free her heart, opens her heart, and like an incredible, almost tsunami, through your little channel goes so many graces. Oh, so many graces up straight down into this desert of so many souls. And then she is happy. Then she can work. Then this little flock of the remnants, of those who remain faithful to her, are channels of graces to convert millions. This is the way how Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus, even being always in a convent, became the patroness of all missions. This is the way, like the little Jacinta of Fatima, who has not reached the 10th years of age, became one of the greatest missionaries in the history of the world. Through her prayers and sacrifices, she wanted to be the instrument in Our Lady's hand, like a missionary. By her prayers and of sacrifices, sufferings offered for the salvation of souls, Our Lady uses that in order to pass through these channels. Incredible graces. And somewhere in the world, people converted. They didn't even know how. They will know once at the end of the world, at the end of their life, when they will see, when they come for eternity, that there has been somebody who has been instrument in Our Lady's hand. How to become instrument in Our Lady's hand? Only if you want. Our Lady kneels down before you, my friends. She, the Queen of heaven and earth, asks you, my dear child, please help me. I need you. And you cannot excuse yourself, Mother Mary. Look, I'm really the worst of all. I'm a poor sinner. You can forget about me. Here you have a holy woman. You have another holy woman. Another holy woman. Me? No. Don't make a joke, huh? Yes, Our Lady says, I know you much better than you, huh? I know what a misery, what a terrible nothing you are, what a wretch you are. Our Lady knows it much better than we ourselves. However, without you, I cannot save the souls. So if you want to be an instrument, let me give these graces through you to the souls. But you must want. Do you want to help me to save my poor children? And you will not answer then, after this request, Our Lady with the tears in her eyes, you will answer, I don't know. Well, if you go that, everybody should shake, you know. You can, if it would be now, from now on, you will say 10 rosaries a day, and you will kneel down 8 hours, and you will do this and this and this, and everybody can understand that's too hard for me. But if Our Lady wants just a little prayer, look, the Jacinta of Fatima, she didn't make such extraordinary penances. She just prayed, Jesus, Mary, I love you, save souls. That's it. And then she saved souls. And that's how Our Lady asks. Maximilian Kolbe is so great to say, at least once a day, say the prayer Our Lady taught you. O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have cross to thee, and so on. And you will somewhere in the world save a soul, because Our Lady saves a soul through you. And you have some elder people, I think you have very often a little problem. You know, the problem is we suffer headache. And very often we suffer about the aches and we make a face like a rotten tomato. How are you today, my darling? Bad. Why? Headache. So you see, and then the whole day you are bad because a headache, migraine, and you look like a monster. Everybody turns around you. Nobody tries to talk to you because you have headache, you know. And you will write down the history of your day, just one page grace of headaches. And in the evening you will finish the day and you have yet headache. And you have complained before everybody, nobody loves me. I am the worst of all. They are all healthy. I'm jealous. And all these people, and I must work so much, and I can't anymore. Let me in peace. Bah, 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 bah. So, and now, if you see our Lord Jesus Christ with the crown of thorns on the head, if you see Maximilian Kolbe who goes in the hunger bunker to die for an unknown prisoner, if you see so much saints, little Jacinta of Fatima, who offers not to drink this awful medicine and to accept to be all alone as a young child in the hospital out of the love of the souls, we can also say, I have anyway headache. I offer it to you. So how are you today, darling? I'm fine. Is it really fine? Yeah, it's a little bit headache, no matter. So you offer this headache first time during the day. Can you help me a little bit? Please, I need your help. Oh, you said, I don't want to rest. Yes, I help you. I offer this if you knew that it's hard for me. And in the evening you have 10 times offered your headaches for the salvation of a soul. The same headache you have. You know what you did? You have become an instrument of Our Lady, incredibly. Somewhere in the world, certainly you have converted not only 10, maybe 100 people, thanks to your headache you offered. Pray and do sacrifices, says our Lord, Our Lady, in Fatima. Maximilian Kolbe, pray, do sacrifices, distribute the miracle medals, take these leaflets and distribute them, give it to the people, that they may know me, and love me. That is what Our Lady in Fatima says. Jesus wants to use you to make me known and loved. So, what shall we do now? Enroll and become Knights of the Immaculata. That's the whole thing. Because that will refresh your life. Will go out of your little thoughts, of your little room, of your little walls, and think about what you can do for Our Lady. Because each time you make something for Our Lady, asking, replying to a request, to praying, offering, to spiritual metal, or to spiritual flyer, to save a soul, and to help the people to come back, Our Lady will give a reward to you you can't even imagine. Much more if you would pray for yourself. That's important. Therefore, I ask you very much to have this in mind. If you really want to stay and to stand the Catholic faith in this terrible time, anyway, we need to go to Our Lady. I think this is just a sign that I really have to stop now. I understood now the message before. Twice it doesn't work. Now it works. Just at the end, I would like to make you read this. That beautiful act of consecration of Maximilian Kolbe, where you say, Mother Mary asks, do you want to help me? To help me save souls? Yes, I want. And this is a beautiful act of consecration of Maximilian Kolbe. And this is a booklet which explains that. So read it, meditate it, and you will see what a marvelous prayer the great Maximilian Kolbe has given to us. If you want to know about Maximilian Kolbe, please take this flyer and read it. It's a 2-minute lecture, and then you will understand what kind of great instrument Our Lady chose in order to make this great army done, which is has been of the biggest in the world. After the Legion of Mary, glorious for Ireland, and the Blue Army of Our Lady of Fatima, glorious in the United States. The biggest and the most important Marian movement is the Militia Immaculata, founded by Maximilian Kolbe, with more than 4 million adherents. And when we started now the Catholic tradition, it is the biggest Marian movement in the Catholic tradition. In 65 countries, we have 125,000 knights. People who just want to do what Our Lady asks you to, a little prayer a day, and for salvation of souls, and they become hunters of souls. No, Father Gallagher asked me to help you. So our MI made a special flyer for you for the knock apparitions. It's just here somewhere I found it. This is what we make for you if you want. So these things, you go to your people, who have heard about knock and kick down, give it. Your Father, we are in Ireland, not in Gabon or in Africa. Yes, of course I know in Ireland. We cannot give it like that. Hey, you can at least do like the Chinese. There's also difficult. It's dangerous to give flyers. If you also go in China, you can go to prison. So, if you really don't know how to give a flyer, you are afraid to your neighbors to give, we have anniversaries, we have feasts, you have the birthdays, you have great events, a national day, special feasts. So, buy, please, little gifts to your friends, your parents, your neighbors or so. But don't buy it once, just buy it twice. Normally you buy him a chocolate. Now you buy, please, 2 chocolates. Chocolate number 1, flyer, chocolate number 2. And now, happy birthday to you. So he gets the 2 chocolates he loves, and he gets the knock apparition he may not love, but he may be converted by that. If in a quiet moment he will open it, oh, I didn't know, interesting. You see, that's the way all over the world the knights are working. And you can do the same thing. So I ask, please be so kind and be interested in it. For me, it's just a little introduction. All what you have, I just mentioned very shortly. The whole history of Fatima, I wrote down in 3 big books, or not big books. I tried to give you the whole Marian, more or less the whole Marian life. Whole Marian spirituality and teaching in little flyers like this, all available for you. In brochures, where you can read about these things and get all what you need. And the most important thing, now, men, gentlemen, drodzy panowie, it's very important. A woman thinks with a heart. The man thinks with the head. If the man doesn't use his head, he will get crazy. If a woman does not use her heart, she becomes a monster. So, if you don't become a monster, dear ladies, and don't become crazy, dear gentlemen, a special gentleman, you need to read. You need to motivate your head, your intelligence, and that you do reading. I must do this. This is the man's work. Ladies will stand before a beautiful picture of Our Lady. Doesn't need anymore. And she will pray, but that's also, so understand what, of course, the ladies may please also read, okay? That's clear. What I mean with this is a very important thing. If you want to go out of your sins and you grow in holiness and become more fervent, you need motivation. And therefore, wherever the MI is established, we have the MI corner, which is thus that you get from time to time, boom, what happens? Here, a new flyer, read. In the moment you read that, you get motivated and you will pray better and you will make better life for yourself and you have always motivations and ideas how to serve better Our Lady and to rely on her. It's all one thing. We want that Our Lady be renowned by you, therefore we have all this literature, and be loved by you, and then you will distribute religion, make others known and loved. That's the whole thing. And thanks to God, thanks to this am I in the whole world, in the Catholic tradition, we have grown very much. In Poland, we have increased our number of the faithful in 2 years from 1,500 and more 5,000. We have in Poland now, we have during long years, we had 15 chapels, now we have 31 chapels. In Warsaw, we had normally 500 people in the Sunday Mass, now we have 1,600. Of course, it's not only coming from the MI work, but in the main way, these people who come, maybe because of the COVID, of all the different things, they are invited to get this. And it's Our Lady who keeps them. Because if not, they come and go. That they keep faithful. They are attracted to the Catholic tradition and keep faithful in spite of the attacks of the devil. There is another strength, not only the chapel. There's Our Lady who keeps them. And they all become Knights of the Immaculata. So I think I've said enough. I've exaggerated as I could in order to abuse your patience. The torture is finished. Thank you very much.